Greetings, friends around the world. This is Dr. Bob Thiel for the Bible News Prophecy channel. Did you know that Germany has repatriated gold? It's brought back gold, actually 3 years faster than it said it was going to. Why would Germany want gold? Could this have any impact on the US dollar? Some people believe that the reason that Germany is doing this is because they believe that they're going to have to reinstate the Deutschmark and the euro is going to be trashed. Let me read something from the news from February of 2017. It says, fans of the precious metal, not shy of a good conspiracy theory, have been deliberating the move ever since Germany detailed it back in 2013. And Germany says they're doing this as a matter of trust. Well, they're talking about 2013. Well, I've been reporting about this or warning about this since 2009 at the latest, and I think I started before then, that Europe is going to want to have gold. Now, many are saying the reason that Europe wants to have gold, again, is for this idea about coming up with the Deutschmark. But I'd like to read something from the news today. It says, the Germans' hoard weighs in at 3,378 tons of gold, which is second only to the United States. Germany had their gold stored outside of Germany, basically because there was a fear that the Soviets would come in and take it or whatever. But now they brought it back. And they did it 3 years ahead of schedule. Now here's this news item. Why the rush? And he said, well, it's beyond just German efficiency. It says, quote, should the Europe collapse, the gold-backed Deutschmark might be the only viable alternative, a pillar of stability on golden foundations. It says Brexit shook up the European Union, but Britain was never part of the euro. France, Italy, Spain, and Greece are. They're saying if you lose one or two of these, it could be it. And they said there's reasons that the Germans want gold. And I don't doubt that there's reasons that the Germans want gold, but why did I say last decade, right, that Germany was going to want its gold and there's going to be more gold in Europe? Well, basically because of biblical prophecy. I'd like to read one, just a short part of one from the book of Daniel, Daniel chapter 11. We hear about a leader known as the King of the North. Now this King of the North is a European power. Many are confused about that, and we have videos on that you can watch. But I'd like to read something he's going to do according to the book of Daniel, Daniel chapter 11, starting in verse 43. He shall have power over the treasures of gold and silver, and over all the precious things of Egypt. Also the Libyans and Ethiopians will follow at his heels. Now we're talking about this beast power called the King of the North. Interestingly, Eastern Orthodox and Roman Catholic prophecies talk about a similar leader. Now they don't call him the King of the North or the European beast power. They tend to call him the Great Monarch. And according to some of their ancient writings or predictions, he's going to want gold. For example, Emperor Leo the Philosopher, who died in 912, talks about this leader. He says, you will amass gold and you will be the leader of the surrounding nations. Here's another one addressed to Emperor Manuel II, Pelagius, who died in 1425. It says the emperor will discover gold and silver. And here's one from one of their saints. This is called St. Andrew, Fool for Christ, in the 4th century. So this is an old prediction. God will reveal to this king all the gold wherever it happens to lay, concealed from his view. Now I read Daniel chapter 11 verse 43 that the king of the north is going to get gold, silver, and the precious things of Egypt. Well, a major gold deposit was refound or rediscovered, if you will, in Egypt back in 2006, consistent with the biblical prophecy. Well, that's future gold. Why would Germany want gold? Well, if you've looked at the state of the United States, you'd realize that in the last 8.5 years, basically its debt has doubled to around 20 trillion US dollars. This is a massive amount of currency. It can't last. The United States cannot continue to amass debt like this. At some point in time, as interest rates go up, hyperinflation may hit. Now, interestingly, in an article that I saw today, this is February 18th, 2017, article talks about Germany and gold, and it says, From the ruins of hyperinflation rose an Austrian with a funny mustache. Well, that's obviously a reference to Adolf Hitler. Why is that relevant? Well, the beast power is going to be worse than Adolf Hitler. In terms of hyperinflation, it may not be hyperinflation over in Europe, although we may see some of that, could even see a lot of that. But we may see it in the United States. The time is going to come when the United States dollar is worthless. Now, the US dollar used to be tied to gold. It no longer is. Former President, US President Richard Nixon eliminated that in the 1970s. But people around the world still value gold. The Chinese have been accumulating it. The Russians have been accumulating it. And part of the reason they've been doing that is they want to dethrone the US dollar as the world's reserve currency. And the Germans, certainly they'd like to dethrone the US dollar as the world's reserve currency. When the US dollar collapses, and it will, I'm not going to read Habakkuk 2 verses 6 through 8, but it's a prophecy that the nation that's greatly increased debt is going to be destroyed and its creditors are going to take over. This will happen in the United States. When the United States dollar crashes, people are going to lose confidence in electronic and digital currencies and paper currencies. They're going to lose it. How can the Europeans prevent the world from freaking out too much once the US dollar is gone? By having whatever currency, whether it's the euro or something else, backed by more gold. The Chinese are working on this. The Russians are working on it. The Germans are working on this. Now, does this mean that we need to put our trust in gold since gold will outlast the US dollar? No. There's warnings in both the Old and the New Testament about this in terms of the end times. As far as the Old Testament, let's go to the book of Ezekiel and read a prophecy in Ezekiel chapter 7, verse 19. Give you a second to get over there. I'm going to be reading from the New King James Version of the Bible. It says, "They will throw their silver into the streets, and their gold will be like refuse. Their silver and gold will not be able to deliver them. In the day of the wrath of the Eternal, or the Lord, they will not satisfy their souls, nor fill their stomachs, because it became a stumbling block of iniquity." You can't eat gold. Well, I mean, people actually put it over candies, but you don't really get calories from gold, so you can't survive or thrive on gold. But will it last longer than the US dollar? Yes. I'm not going to go there, but in the book of Revelation, chapter 18, we see that the world will be made rich with gold from trading with the European Babylonian beast power, a power that is starting to rise up. Germany has gotten more of its gold back. The Europeans are very wary now of the United States. They don't like what's happened in the United States with the new Trump administration. On the one hand, you've got some Germans saying, oh, we probably should be increasing spending on defense. On the other hand, they're saying the United States does not have the values that the Europeans have, and the Europeans want to have their values placed upon the world. As far as currencies and the economy and such, I would like to read something from the New Testament just as a warning. So I don't want people to misinterpret this, and I'm telling everybody, sell all your dollars and buy gold. James chapter 5, starting in verse 1. I'll get this right. "Come now, you rich, weep and howl, for your miseries are coming upon you. Your riches are corrupted, and your garments are moth-eaten. Your gold and silver are corroded, and their corrosion will be a witness against you, and will eat your flesh like fire. You have heaped up treasure in the last days. Indeed," it goes on and on and on. It just warns people that their confidence should not be in metal. On the other hand, as we get closer to the end, yes, it's probably wise to have some if you could, because the US dollar is going to collapse. Do the Germans know this? I think they suspect that there's a weakness, and a weakness that they may one day exploit. And so right now they are in the process of repatriating all of their gold. And I believe, because they're also having meetings with Russia, as a matter of fact, they had a meeting with the Russian Foreign Minister today, that they're going to work on some things that will ultimately result in the dethroning of the US dollar and a replacement with something else. And this something else, apparently, at least to some degree, will have some type of gold backing. Biblical prophecies are coming to pass. There's a reason that the Germans have been getting back their gold, something they hadn't been interested in doing in quite a few decades. Prophecies are coming to pass. This is Dr. Bob Thiel for the Bible News Prophecy Channel.